my friends, and welcome to Bill Swerski's Tournament Talk. I'm Thomas Senna. Bill Swerski is out again. He's citing land shark this time, which I don't buy. I really don't buy that. He's like, oh, somebody was at my door and rang the doorbell, and I answered, and I shouldn't have, and I'm on the mend. And so not buying it, but I guess get well soon. Regardless, Bill Swerski. We're all pulling for you there, bud. So Tournament Talk is the show in which we compile memorable SNL moments in any given category, break them down in a bracket, and declare a winner. So every episode, I'm joined by 4 panelists who will vote and discuss until we crown a champion. So we've done Best Holiday Moment, Best Cameo, Best Bit, and Best Musical Guest Appearance. This week, we're deciding the best recurring character. So I'm pumped. As we're recording this, we're still at the end of March Madness in the NCAA tournament. So everybody's kind of got brackets on the mind right now, all the sports fans at least. So I'm excited to get this going with our panelists. So let's go ahead and meet everybody. First off, host of SNL by the Numbers. He gets name checked, kind of, by very influential SNL people. So I'm talking about Mike Murray. Mike, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Thomas. Pleasure to be here. Sorry couldn't see Bill today, but you're a suitable replacement as always.
Yeah, that's what I'm told. I know. I'm sorry. I do my best. And yeah, you, I think Seth, the Lonely Island podcast actually kind of referenced you in a roundabout.
Yeah, they did a SNL 50 recap, and Seth Meyers was reading my screen time results and quizzing the Lonely Island guys on who got the most screen time from SNL 50, which is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty awesome, man. I mean, nitpicking, I can nitpick and say I would have liked you to be name checked, but I think that's awesome in and of itself that they're using your stats and your work on their show. So that's so awesome. Continue the good work, man. Also with us, co-host of the SNL Hall of Fame Water Cooler, SNL super fan. I'm talking about Shari Fesco. Thank you for being here, Shari.
Thank you so much, Thomas. I am going to try not to be a total fangirl geek because all of you I've been listening to for multiple years, and I feel like you all are celebrities to me. I know that feels weird to you, but to us, who sit in those hot takes till 3 in the freaking morning, you all are amazing. I mean, every single one of you, the work that you do. I think I can speak for all the fans that we really appreciate what you do because you give us another link to the show that we didn't have back in the day. Certainly not when I was watching it in 1970 something. So yeah, I just wanted to say that, and I'm really, really happy to be here. I'm very excited.
I think she's mostly talking about Mike here, but I'll take a little bit of praise too. You're part of the crew, Shari. So thank you so much. We love and value your SNL opinions. Hearing the water cooler, you guys do a good job over there. So really love having you on the show today. Also, another SNL podcaster extraordinaire, my friend, your friend, Kirsten Rayala. So I guess your first appearance on this program, Kirsten, didn't scare you away?
It didn't. I am even more prepared. I brought back my Excel spreadsheet. I've got 6 new criteria that I'm happy to share, and lots of research. So get ready.
Is it color coded, Kirsten?
It is color coded. Yep. There's pink, yellow, and green, and lots of notes. So
I'm so excited.
Listen,
I know.
Look who I'm hanging out with. Look at the company I'm keeping. I had to be ready. And I am, I think.
This is why you're one of the best in the business, Kirsten. That's awesome.
Anyone who loves spreadsheets is a friend of mine.
Yes.
100%. We're pro spreadsheet here on Bill Swerski's Tournament Talk.
Freaking the sheets.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Also, co-founder of the Not Ready for Primetime Project, Brad Robinson. Good to see you, Brad.
Hey, buddy. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'm extremely nervous. Wasn't supposed to be on this episode. There was a good reason why. I cannot hang with, there's at least one, if not two, stat-driven panelists on this panel. I'm talking to you, spreadsheet woman. I'm in trouble. I am not looking forward to this. I feel like I'm going to get crushed this episode.
I mean, is it a competition? Technically, yes.
Yes, technically, I believe it is.
But it's just about the friends we made along the way, really, that, Brad. So
fair.
But I'm looking forward to you getting crushed anyway.
Yeah, it's cool. What's going to
happen? Kirsten, Mike, Shari, don't take it easy on him. We have a wonderful panel today. So excited. So today's topic here on Tournament Talk that we'll be breaking down is best recurring character. So how it works, we have 16 characters divided into 4 different regions, 4 per region if you're doing the math correctly. We vote on who should advance, and we talk about why. All 4 panelists will have a vote in every matchup. If the vote is 2-2, then I will get to use a vote to break the tie and wield that sweet, sweet, delicious power that I have on this show. Any objections, complaints, comments? Kirsten, you good?
I'm great. You've set this up in such a way that I'm going to be conflicted with some of my own decisions here, but
good.
I'm ready.
The powers that be love it that way. Awesome, guys. So here we go. Let's start breaking it down. Region 1, we have 1 seed, Wayne and Garth, taking on 16 seed, the Falconer. Also in that region, 8 seed, Colleen, Rafferty, Miss Rafferty. If you're nasty, I guess some people call her that. And Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer, Key Rock, is the 9 seed. So let's go back to that 1-16 matchup. We're going to get your votes. I'm going to kind of do lightning round, get your votes. And then we'll talk about it as the dust settles. So 1 seed, Wayne Campbell and Garth Algar, 16 seed, the Falconer. Let's go with Shari to kick things off.
That would be Wayne and Garth.
1-0 Wayne and Garth. Brad?
Wayne and Garth.
Wayne and Garth, 2-0. Mike Murray?
I'll make the deciding vote. It'll be Wayne and Garth for me.
All right, Wayne and Garth. Kirsten, I'm going to make this official, get into the record books here.
Wayne and Garth.
Wayne and Garth. So not a surprise here. Wayne and Garth, the 1 seed. 21 appearances by my count, 89-94 in its original run. Dana, when he hosted, brought it back. It was in SNL 40. The Falconer, Will Forte, 9 appearances, 2002 to 2006. I personally love Will Forte. I know, Mike, you personally love Will Forte. So can you kind of give some thoughts here, a little bit of thoughts about the Falconer as we wave goodbye already to him.
Yeah, well, Donald flies away. Well, first of all, I'm very pleased that this made it to the bracket. This is my wish list pick on my top 10. So for Ken Mortimer, if you're formal, and Donald, the Falconer, and the Falcon, for me, this is maybe my one a little personal pick, because this is back in season 28 when I started really getting into SNL and not just watching it as a kid staying up late. And this one just has what I love about an original character. It's not based on anything or a parody. It's just Will Forte and a lot of puppetry. So
yes,
I just was super into the Falconer. And, if you watch all 9 of their little escapades, they just find insane ways to make a Falcon do things, and maybe I'm a simple man who likes that. So this was a really tough matchup. Yeah. You can't go from a 16 seed against the Titans of Wayne and Garth and come out unscathed or untalented, but I'm glad they made the show.
Yeah, that's part of the charm of the Falconer, is seeing the strings, seeing Donald's strings. I know maybe I don't know if it was the last Falconer, but I think the most memorable one was when they kind of kept going back in time or kept going, and then pretty much the whole cast was
with
dressed
Kevin
as
Spacey.
with Kevin, sure, yeah, with you name checked him, but yeah, you're right. That's factual. Kevin Spacey was in that episode and in that sketch, but it was like the whole cast dressed up as a Falconer. That was probably my favorite Falconer moment.
And you love the lines of Coke in Las Vegas.
Yes. Donald went on a binge, right?
Oh, he partied. When he went to Vegas big time with Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, exactly. So, does anybody else have any thoughts about the Falconer?
I agree that the Falconer was a real special one, and I would have loved to. It just got knocked out too fast. I mean, it went up against Wayne and Garth. I would have loved for it to make it up one, but I think all our fond memories will have to suffice.
Well, here's something that I've always thought about the Falconer, and even Will Forte just in general around this time. So this sketch premiered in 2002, and that was a time 2002, 2003, 2004, kind of like those years. Those are kind of lean years for SNL, if we're being quite honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I think those were pretty bad seasons, but I think something like the Falconer tended to be the highlight of an episode, or a Will Forte piece tended to be the highlight of an episode around those times. And then the show kind of caught up around 2005 probably and onward. You start seeing things kind of turn around. But to me, Will Forte and something like the Falconer was the bright spot of a lot of shows.
I buy that, yeah.
I agree. And also came in, it was Will Forte's 5th episode. So it's early in his career. And it happens in season 28 4 times. So if that's a bright spot, they went back to it a bunch.
Yeah.
And, Will Forte had a long run, going all the way to 2010. So it's kind of like in that early period for Will Forte. But that first episode, too, I mean, we didn't talk about it, but Donald the Falcon sleeps with his wife. So that's a memorable one for me. The first episode that he did the Falcon's in.
Yeah, Donald the Falcon loved sleeping with people's wives. He loved Coke binges in Vegas. A true Renaissance Falcon. But we bid adieu to the Falconer. So Wayne and Garth advance, and I'm looking forward to delving more into our thoughts on Wayne and Garth. I'm sure we have a ton. But let's see who Wayne and Garth will face in the next round. We got 8 seed Colleen Rafferty, played by Kate McKinnon. By my count, 9 appearances. If you're including the SNL 50, by my count, it's 9 appearances. Against 9 seed, a Phil Hartman character, unfrozen caveman lawyer, aka Key Rock. 4 appearances in total, including one when Phil hosted. Let's start the voting here with Kirsten.
Colleen Rafferty.
Colleen Rafferty, and keep in mind this is an 8-9 matchup, so I'm expecting this. I have no idea what's about to happen. Mike Murray.
This might be the toughest one in the bracket. I'm going to go with Miss Rafferty.
Rafferty, 2-0 Rafferty. I want to go to Shari here.
I'm going to shake it up a little. Key Rock, unfrozen caveman lawyer.
Unfrozen caveman lawyer. I love it. Phil Hartman, one of the all-time greats. 2-1 Colleen. Brad Robinson.
I got to tie it up with unfrozen caveman lawyer.
Oh, 2-2. Okay. Oh, geez.
Unless anybody can be persuaded to change their vote.
No, I was going to say, so it's 2-2. It's my vote. I want to hear from Shari more about your experiences with Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer, like how you felt as a viewer with that.
Well, most of you are pretty young here. I think there might be one other who remembers back in the day. Or maybe 2 others. I don't know. I'm a terrible judge of age. But I was just the right age to appreciate this sketch. I was like that high schoolish age. And it's such a wacky goofiness. And Phil is just so perfect with his line delivery. And he just constantly captivates. And this is the perfect role for him. And it was really written for him. as I've heard the writers speak about it. So yeah, it just everything about it. It's just one of those that I can watch and rewatch and still laugh at it. And yes, it's dated now, but it's still funny. And it's because of that Hartman charisma. He, like I said, when he is in a scene, your eyes are on him. And, it's the reason he was number 2 in the Saturday Night Network greatest cast members of all time, 2 or 3. He's unforgettable. I'm just sorry that we didn't get to see more from him. Because who knows? Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer could have been a series. Who knows? But
yeah, I think... Yeah, when I was on with John Schneider and Bill Kenny. We were on Chris Jericho's podcast talking about SNL movies, and Jericho asked us which characters we thought could have been a movie. And I actually cited Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer that I thought maybe could have been turned into a movie, and they could have done something with that. And maybe that was a product of, and I wanted to ask you, Brad, it was only 4 appearances, like only 3 when Phil was a cast member and 1 when he hosted. So only 4 appearances. So I didn't get tired of Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. I actually kind of wanted more.
I was surprised when I went back and looked that he only did it 4 times. It's such a indelible character that he did that I think it speaks volumes to him. And I think that's one of the reasons why I vote for him over Colleen, is that quality versus quantity. He, as a cast member, only did it 3 times, but it's such a memorable character from that era. It's so indelible in your mind. And the other thing I got to give to him is also Jack Handey, amazing writer, but the performance. Like, it's all about the writing and the performance in that sketch. To me, I feel like the Colleen Rafferty sketches are funny because they're trying to be obnoxious and make people break. And I know I've gotten yelled at on the show for my stance on people breaking, but that's what I think is funny about Colleen Rafferty, where Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer is funny about the writing and the actual performance.
I think those are all really good points, and that's why it pains me to vote for Colleen Rafferty, Brad, and kick Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer out of the tournament. And
Mike Murray was wavering. He was going to change his vote, I think.
I got a little close, I'll tell you.
See, come on. See this?
Well, maybe I can pull my...
Phil Hartman, people.
More. Well, I love Phil. Phil's like one of my top 3 or 4 all-time favorite cast members.
I know.
You know that. But I think just Colleen, and I disagree that this was only about breaking. I mean, you probably didn't think it was only. I mean, there were some jokes.
Not only.
Yeah, I know. I put words into your mouth. It wasn't only, but like a lot of it did, agreed, like it did rely on breaking. But I think there was just a lot more to it than that. She plays like Kate McKinnon plays such great like dirtbag kind of characters, and this was a good example. I'm a sucker for like the dumb wordplay that they use, the scenarios. Like, she always painted a really fun picture of what the aliens would do to her. And then contrasting that with all the like the pleasant experiences that people like Cecily and Ryan Gosling would have when they got abducted. I think there was a lot of meat to this, other than her like climbing Ryan Gosling and putting her head in his crotch, or whatever other cast member is on. So I think they actually built a really nice world around this, even though with Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer, I just love that he's like, he is this, I think he genuinely is like frightened and confused by things, but he's not so much. He's like smart enough to take advantage of that fact that he's a caveman, to use it to his advantage as a lawyer, which I think is the really subtle joke in Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer, is he's just like, when I was in my BMW and I passed this, and I couldn't understand all the I think there was like a lot of like, big Jack Handey subtle things in there.
Yeah.
But I just like the world that they built with Colleen Rafferty.
I think we also have to remember that when Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer was coming out, legal shows were everywhere.
Sure.
And so I think that it was definitely taking that into account. Things like LA Law, it was definitely sending up this very popular trope. So that's another thing, because I watched all those legal shows.
Yeah. Corbin Burnson and all. Yes. Absolutely. So we bid farewell to Phil Hartman, Key Rock, Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. Wish there would have been a movie because I was a big fan. Alas, we have Wayne and Garth taking on Colleen Rafferty in the next round. Region 2, a 4 versus 13. We have Mr. Robinson, of course, Eddie Murphy, taking on Don Novello's father, Guido Sarducci, as the 13th seed. 5 seed, as portrayed by Kenan Thompson. We get DeAndre Cole in What Up With That, taking on Gilda Radner and Bill Murray as Todd and Lisa in The Nerds. Let's go to that 4 versus 13 matchup. Mr. Robinson taking on Father Guido Sarducci. I want to kick it off with Mike Murray.
Going to go upset. I'm going to go with Father Guido Sarducci.
Wow. Okay, 1-0, Father Guido Sarducci. What do you think, Kirsten?
I do have a question mark, but I'm going to go with Mr. Robinson.
Okay, 1-1. Shari?
I'm going to echo Kirsten, Mr. Robinson.
All right, 2-1, Mr. Robinson. I'm not going to do it. I know your last name, Brad. What's your vote?
This was a tough one, and I thought I was going to be the only vote. Father Guido Sarducci.
I know. That shocked me. Mike just threw a whole wrinkle and wrench.
Well played, Mike Murray.
Into this. Gosh, I mean, Brad, I know you and Gary cover a lot of the era that Father Guido Sarducci appeared, and you're covering season 4 right now as we're like toward the end of season 4, and he's starting to appear more and more. Tell us, like, clue us in on why Guido Sarducci.
I mean, honestly, this was probably the toughest first round matchup for me. I love both of these characters. Eddie Murphy as Mr. Robinson is obviously great. I honestly thought I was going to be the lone vote and just let me talk about Father Guido Sarducci for 2 minutes. It's a great character. It's an instance, and we see this throughout the history of the show, where cast members bring characters to the show that they've already had. You know, Farley had Matt Foley. I think even Kristen Wiig had Target Lady when she auditioned. So Father Guido Sarducci is a character Don Novello had. I also love the fact that it's an original era character that's not like Dan or Gilda or John, but it's Don Novello. A Don Novello character made it to this bracket. He came on at the end of season 3, and the character showed up 43 times, I think. Mike Murray, check me on this. Is this the most seen recurring character? Do you know?
Yeah, it's the most prolific SNL character in history. 25 episodes, 42 appearances, plus SNL 15, and 18 times on Update.
Yeah, from season 3 through season 21, and I believe also, check me on this, Mike Murray, the only SNL character to host the show as a character.
Right. Twice.
So it's like those things alone, I'm like, as much as I love Eddie Murphy and Mr. Robinson, and the fact that the character is superbly written, it's such a brilliant way he does the character where he's so silly and fun, but like really is satirical and attacks things. It's done so well. And all of those things combined, I that's why I voted for him. I'm happy to hear Mike's in there too.
Yeah, I'm curious about that, Mike. I think I was surprised by that just because I've never talked to you about some of the older stuff in older seasons. I always kind of just associate you with what's going on now and everything. So I'm very curious as to your reasoning here.
Well, I did go to the stats first because I think of Father Guido Sarducci. It's somebody who hasn't been on the show since 95. So it's been almost 30 years since I've seen him. I feel like a lot of people who are even big SNL fans might not even list him when they think of SNL characters, but he might be, like I said, most prolific for sure. So just so original, so lived in, just immaculately performed every time. I have to give him credit for hosting the show in character. It's very much like a Pee Wee Herman or a Borat or a somebody that you can't draw the line between Don Novello and Father Guido Sarducci, and just pitch perfect every time.
Yes.
Going back and rewatching those episodes, if he feels like a real guy. It's incredibly performed. And, he's 82 now. Don Novello is, the character predates SNL back to 73. Mm-hmm. And, was on the Colbert Report in 2010. I think that's one of the last times we saw him in the flesh. He has 2 comedy albums. You think about that character and SNL, how many times he appeared on there. The stats speak for themselves. I also agree this matchup is crazy because Mr. Robinson has to be on everyone's list, but I had to go with the upset here, Tom.
Wow, yeah, there were a couple things when I was a kid that I thought to be true about SNL that weren't, or that wasn't true about SNL. One was I thought Steve Martin was a cast member. He was not. Two was that I thought Father Guido Sarducci was like a real person. I didn't know about Don Novello until I got older, like late teens or something like that. I just sort of in my mind, Guido Sarducci was just this weird person who would come on and do, I suspended disbelief when I was a kid. So, but those were two untrue things about SNL that I thought to be true. So, just amazing character building and world building. Kirsten, do you? I mean, what do you think about it? Was Father Guido Sarducci a character that connected with you in some way at all?
Not so much. More in hindsight and hearing the numbers. It's really hard to argue that type of performance because by the numbers alone, he should just win this whole thing, right? If it's just the numbers, the amount of times that we saw him. I think he even did a crossover on Married with Children or something. Like, I don't know when that has ever happened. Right. So it is a tough one. We think of Eddie Murphy because it's Eddie Murphy. And those also were great sketches. I'm going to go with my personal relevance, which is clearly I went for Eddie, but give it up for Guido Sarducci. Where is that old walk on water spirit?
Oh, yeah, Mike, I thought we had her. Thought we had her for a minute.
I know. That was close. Shari, did they change your mind?
I tell you made excellent arguments. And again, I am old enough to remember watching him. I mean, I was pretty young, but I knew he was on a lot. So leave it to Mike to know exactly how much, which is really interesting because I knew it was a lot, but I didn't realize how much. And it is fascinating that he hosted twice. And I just vaguely remember. And he was a big deal. But I remember like us kids talking about him, like as kids, like it's 10-ish-year-old kids talking about him and making our silly jokes. He was definitely, he was definitely something we were talking about on the playground. And I'm sure older college kids were talking about as well. So he was definitely relevant. But like Kirsten, Mr. Robinson is such an indelible figure that I know we're going to be talking about more probably. So I'll just leave it at that. Or maybe not. Who knows? It's all up to Thomas.
I'll tell you who knows. Thomas.
and Thomas, I'd be remiss before you cast your vote here that I don't think there's ever been another SNL character who was arrested in real life in character. Which was
good
Don
point.
Novello at the Vatican.
I mean, granted, Buckwheat was shot, but that's different.
Good point. Yeah, Buckwheat was shot, and I guess Triumph wasn't an SNL character, right? I think Triumph either got kicked out of the Capitol building or was arrested. But that's a very good point. I will advance Mr. Robinson. I just love Eddie and this character so much. I think it's just iconic. Like I think people would be able to if they saw Father Guido Sarducci, they kind of know who that is, but I don't think they could tell you what made the character, what it was, but Mr. Robinson, I think people can more describe the beats. It probably stuck with people a little bit more. Very clever, obviously a take on Mr. Rogers, but just a very and he tapped into I don't know, it was almost it was something for some viewers in a culture that wasn't represented much at all really on SNL before this. So that was kind of humor that really spoke to a lot of people in the Black community, which not much had before then on SNL. So I think that's a really important thing. But I think just as far as iconic and everything, I'm just going to go with Mr. Robinson to advance in this 413. So, Father Guido Sarducci, though, Brad, we
He put up a bigger fight than I thought.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I covered an Eric Idle episode with you recently, and he had an update piece on there, and I loved it. That was like one of my best bits, I think, for that episode. So I really enjoy Don Novello as that character. But Mr. Robinson to me is like a tough kind of a tough character.
It's hard to beat Eddie Murphy. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, for sure. So Mr. Robinson advances in the 5-12 matchup for the chance to face Mr. Robinson. We have 5 seed DeAndre Cole. You know him as the host of What Up With That. 12 appearances. Once was during an at-home episode. The most recent one, Jason Sudeikis came back and hosted in season 47, taking on the Nerds, Gilda Radner, Bill Murray, 13 appearances. In a short time between 1978 and 1980. I don't know if that's going to work to their advantage or disadvantage.
That's how they did it back then, man.
Yeah, they really did. So I'm going to start the voting. DeAndre Cole versus the Nerds. I want to start the voting here with Brad.
Probably my second toughest. Nerds. I'll leave it later. Nerds.
1-0 Nerds. Shari, what do you think?
This was my toughest this round, but DeAndre.
Oh man, 1-1. I want to pick on Kirsten. What is your spreadsheet? What do your color codes tell us, Kirsten?
Yeah.
You know what? This is what's going to be interesting here. Is one of those I had not in my top 10, and the other one for some reason I hadn't included. But in going back and doing some research, the one I hadn't included is the one that I'm going to vote for right now, which is the Nerds.
Woo!
Yep.
Stats don't lie.
Stats don't lie. I mean, they both have a lot of appearances, but DeAndre loved that whole sketch group of characters, ensemble with Keenan. Mm-hmm. And I clap at the memory of that, but I laugh when I watch the Nerds.
That's fascinating. Brad, I want to go back to you because you voted for the Nerds. Do you echo Kirsten's sentiments?
I do. So I love DeAndre Cole. He was on my list. He's like one of my favorite characters. I love Kenan Thompson. What put the Nerds over the edge for me was, as much as I love Kenan and DeAndre, I think it's very one note. It's the same sketch over and over again with different participants. The Nerds, and only because we're watching them again so recently, they do evolve. They're in different situations. There's different things. There's at the end, they end with Nerd Nativity. We just watched a really great one with Kate Jackson, where it's like it's not a funny sketch, but it's a great sketch. It's like a heartwarming sketch. So there's like character building, and I think there's more layers and things involved. As hard as that is to say, like the Nerd sketch with the Dan Aykroyd as the refrigerator repairman, an hilarious sketch, which is almost funnier because of Dan than the Nerds, but they're involved in it. So it's like that world that they've built. Buck Henry coming in as Todd's dad. So there's more things to the Nerds, is why I push the Nerds over DeAndre Cole, who I do love Keenan in that character, and Sudeikis. I think the two of them are hilarious in that sketch.
Well, they might be on the Nerds might be on the precipice of advancing. I don't know what Mike Murray has to say about this. Mike, 13 appearances over the span of 3 seasons. Can you imagine current SNL doing that?
Not at all. I mean, look at What Up With That. It's the fact that it took that long to even get that for Keenan. It was his 117th episode. He debuted that character, and of course, he's still in the cast, so it's still in play. But this is a real toss-up for me again. I love these matchups, and I'm going to extend the runtime, and I'm going to go with DeAndre Cole and give it back to Thomas.
Okay, well, this is a pretty easy one for me, honestly, and it's going to be DeAndre Cole. I think What Up With That is the single most joyful thing, in my opinion, that maybe I've ever seen on SNL. And I know it's like paint by numbers, but that's I don't mind that. And I guarantee we'll be talking about that a little more in this episode, because it's a lot of times what SNL characters, and especially recurring, a lot of times it is paint by numbers, but I didn't get tired of it. It would bring me joy every time you would start hearing the music and you look in the Keenan's face and he starts bobbing his head and he he comes up with his little sayings, and then everything just explodes on screen. And but I think the anchor of that sketch, even though it's ensemble, I think it's Keenan as DeAndre, and I think it's because of him that I take so much joy out of it. The nerds. No, maybe it's because the nerd archetype's been so played since then, and you kind of had to be there. But it just doesn't play for me, especially in 2025 as much. Because afterward, we got the whole Revenge of the Nerds series, and it was that similar archetype. And even though the Revenge of the Nerds were a little more problematic, I think, than Todd and Lisa. But I think you still had that archetype that just didn't connect with me. And there was a lot of heart to it. And I always loved Gilda and Bill and anything. And it's depending on where they were in their like relationship, you could kind of see that bleed over into the sketches of the nerds. I always appreciated that. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and say DeAndre Cole, you're advancing.
We've given Thomas too much power.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks this.
I keep telling you, Brad, it's what I negotiated. It's part of the contract. You know that about me, that I need the power. So
this is true.
So DeAndre Cole advancing. Looking forward to talking more about him. He's taking on Mr. Robinson in the next round. So Region 3, some good matchups here. We have 3-seed Church Lady, of course, Dana Carvey, taking on. We have a Dana Carvey versus Mike Myers battle here.
Nice.
So Church Lady against Linda Richman as the 14 seed. Also at the bottom of that region, we have 6-seed Matt Foley, motivational speaker, Chris Farley, taking on the Tri-Delts, Melanie Hutzel, Siobhan Fallon, and Beth Cahill as the Tri-Delts. So let's go up top. 3-seed Church Lady, 14-seed Linda Richman. I want to go to Shari to kick things off.
This was a no-brainer for me, but it might be surprising to everyone else. I'm going to go with Linda Richman.
Linda Richman takes the early lead? Wow. 14 seed. Okay, I'm looking forward to this. Could we have an upset? Kirsten.
Church Lady.
Church Lady. Mike Murray.
Church Lady for me.
All right, Brad, I don't know if you want to give me the power here or if you just...
I mean, I don't, but that's not why I'm voting this way. Still, Church Lady.
All right, so Church Lady advances, but I do want to hear from Shari, thinking that it would be a surprise. It kind of actually, as the voting turned out, it kind of was a surprise. But tell us about your love of Linda Richman coffee talk.
Oh my gosh, I could do my own podcast on Linda Richman.
Don't get verklempt now.
Mike, I am so verklempt. This character means a lot to me. I was thrilled to see her on the 50th. I really thought, I knew Wayne was going to be on this list, but I really thought Dieter would beat out Linda if there was a second Mike Myers character. I was very surprised she even made it. So I'm thrilled to get to even talk. Like Brad said, he was just wanted to talk about Guido. That's how I feel about Linda. I am a Jewish woman. And back then I was a Jewish teenager and there wasn't a lot of representation. And it was all mostly very negative. And I feel like, yes, Linda was stereotypical, but she had so much heart. And Mike played her with such love because she was based on his mother-in-law at the time, ex-mother-in-law now. But he obviously had a great affection for her and he poured it all into Linda. And let me tell you, in my house, Barbara Streisand, like butter. I mean, we were huge fans. We saw her when she came to Michigan. My mother had bought a postcard of her and it was hanging in her bathroom till she wasn't with me anymore with the 2 tickets in her bathroom for like 30 years. So to say we are big Barbara fans is an undersell. So yeah, for all those reasons, Linda just really resonated with me. And I know she was not as popular. I was very surprised to see the character show up at the 50th, and it was just a thrill. Yeah. And I was very surprised to see her, like I said, show up in this bracket. So just, excited that you got even this far.
Yeah, how cool was that? Yeah, Linda Richmond with the Bronx Beat women. That was so cool. Kirsten, you seem like, even though you didn't vote for Linda Richmond, you seem like somebody who probably might like maybe appreciated Linda Richmond. I don't know if I'm pegging you all wrong here.
I mean, it's a fellow Canadian, first of all, Mike Myers. Sure. So yeah, there's some loyalty there to a fellow Canuck. I do love Linda Richmond. And I love the character. Church lady feels like it could that character could have a voice in any era, especially right now. We need her. One of my criteria was kind of this SNL, whether it's official or unofficial, but endorsement. Do they sell merch for this character? And Church Lady is one that they do, as are a lot of the others that I'll cover. But they have Church Lady stuff versus Linda Richmond stuff. So there are different factors like that played in. And, a legend in Dana Carvey as well. So Church Lady was on my list. And again, both beloved, but easy for me to pick her over Linda.
Mike or Brad, do either of you have any sort of parting thoughts about Linda Richmond there?
No, but I will give credit. The Linda Richmond Coffee Talk episode or sketch with Madonna and Barbra Streisand cameos is one of the best SNL moments, I think, of all time. So I'll give her credit for that too.
Can I challenge on that if you watch it in its entirety, Roseanne ruins it, and if you only watch the highlights, it's great?
Well, yeah. I mean, isn't that just a evergreen statement?
Yes.
For the most part, I don't know.
But in particular,
older Roseanne.
Are you talking from the heart or from the spreadsheet right now? I need to know this.
From the heart.
Okay, fair.
We didn't get
from
Cyborg Kirsten. She still speaks from the heart, Brad.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just okay.
Because I'll say this: they always show the clip when the surprise happens.
Yeah.
And I went back and I watched the whole thing, and you really wait for that moment.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So congratulations, Church Lady advances. We'll be taking on the winner of Matt Foley, as portrayed by Chris Farley, of course, and the Tri-Delts, Delta, can I help you? Melanie Hutzel, Siobhan Fallon, Beth Cahill, all three names that aren't often said on SNL podcasts. So this is like really exciting.
Doing God's work, Thomas.
Doing God's work, being able to talk about Melanie, Siobhan, and Beth Cahill. This Siobhan's still a fan. Like we see her comment on current SNL and stuff. That's really neat. 4 appearances, all in season 17. Matt Foley, of course, 8 appearances. So I'm going to start off the voting with Mike here.
Got to be Matt Foley.
Matt Foley, Kirsten.
Easy agree on that one, Matt Foley.
All right, Shari.
So I'm kind of in the Kirsten spot. One was on my list and one wasn't. And I'm going with the one that wasn't, which was Matt Foley.
All right, 3-0, Brad. Would it be a clean sweep for you?
Yes, sir. Matt Foley.
All right. Yeah, Matt Foley. Clean sweep here. But I do, again, Shari, I know you do have an appreciation for these characters, and it was definitely a season 17 thing and something that they gave Beth and Siobhan and Melanie, a big showcase for these women in early 92.
Yeah, for sure. I think I go more with my heart maybe than the rest of you. These were all kind of ones that were in my heart. I was a sorority girl, and I was a sorority girl at the time this sketch was airing, and we were constantly saying, Delta, 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 can I help you, all over our sorority house. So, yeah, I just felt a personal attachment. And these are 3 cast members that you don't hear about a lot. And they're so great in this sketch. And there were only 4 times, but they resonated so much with me. And I can still recall a lot of the plotting, which I can't with many sketches. So yeah, it was a heart favorite for me, but I can't deny the power of Matt Foley. I mean, even the most casual SNL fan knows that character. So
yeah, bull in a china shop there. Mike Murray, where do you think Beth Cahill would rank in total sketch appearances? Have you gotten back that far yet?
Pretty low. I mean, talking total over every cast member, yeah. I mean, but at least this is a recurring bit. I kind of liken this, Thomas, to like a running back this sketch who has like a breakout year and is like maybe getting some MVP votes and then you never hear from again. This happened 4 times over 11 episodes and that was it. So it's, if you didn't watch the back half of season 17, you won't know what we're talking about right now. So this is a very much flash in the pan sketch for, it happened, that's 4 times in 11 episodes is good recurrence, but it didn't have the breadth or the longevity to really become like in the stratosphere of SNL iconic moments or characters for me.
Yeah, for all you big sports fans out there, he's this sketch, the Delta Delta Delta, is like Barry Foster from the early '90s, or like Peyton Hillis or something like that in recent times.
You think people are going to get those references, but not the Tri-Delts?
Oh, yes. Do you don't know your audience, Brad?
Thomas,
I know the Tri-Delts.
Peyton Hillis, and when I said that,
I know exactly because Peyton Hillis was the obvious play there.
You guys bring up a very good point, though. They haven't lasted the test of time, but as someone who was like early '90s was very like my era of SNL, and like I'm amazed that they were only on 4 times because to me, Tri-Delts were such a huge part of that show and that era. The fact that I'm actually blown away because I didn't really research them that much, that they were only on 4 times and was only that one season because they are an indelible memory of SNL of that era.
Yeah, for me too. I started watching SNL live in 1990, so I think I remember it was the Kyle MacLachlan episode, which is the first SNL episode I watched as it happened. So I was already watching SNL by season 17. And I think with the reruns, though, we saw this with Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. I think it was the reruns. And we used to see like the Tri-Delts on these reruns all the time. So it felt like they were on more than they were because we would see them all the time on Comedy Central or VH1 or something like that. So I was the same way as you, Brad. I was just like only 4 appearances, and they were all within the span of like 4 or 5 months. How is that even possible? So no, I'm just really glad. All joking aside about that, like Beth Cahill, she had a couple of good moments like on Weekend Update and stuff. She just wasn't a cast member who, for whatever reason, didn't stick around. Siobhan Fallon. She was in Forrest Gump. She was in Seinfeld. Very familiar face. I think Melanie Hutzel did a lot of good work on SNL. Honestly, any chance she got, I think she was really fun to watch. So it's kind of neat that these 3 performers did something that left like a cool mark on the show there. But Matt Foley, moving on, kind of hard to beat here. And we're going to have a hell of a matchup in the second round between Church Lady and Matt Foley. So start stressing about that now. As we move along to Region 4, 2-seed Stefon, Bill Hader, iconic character, taking on 15-seed Debbie Downer. Of course, that was Rachel Dratch. Also in that region, 7-seed Mary Katherine Gallagher, Molly Shannon's character, taking on another character that had a movie. So we have a battle of 2 characters that had movies after them. So 7-seed, the committee works in mysterious ways. Mary Katherine Gallagher taking on MacGruber, the Will Forte character. This might just come down to which movie was the best. I don't know. We'll see about that. But let's start at the top. Number 2-seed Stefon, 15-seed Debbie Downer. Kick things off, Brad.
Stefon
1-0. Kirsten.
This was a difficult one for me because they are both very recognizable characters and very supported by the SNL machine. You can buy their merch today in the store. But I'm going to give it to Stefon. Oh, that's close.
As she
but
plugs
I'm
her
doing it.
nose.
Yeah.
Shari, it's 2-0 Stefon right now.
Well, I wore my Stefon shirt today. So, you know, gotta go with Stefon.
All right. Mike, would it have been a clean sweep?
Clean sweep, Stefon.
All right, and that was 2-15. That was kind of we kind of foresaw that. But Kirsten, the first Stefon, if you listen to the Best Bits episode of this very podcast, I stood up to the bullies who questioned Debbie Downer in that podcast. It was the first one though with Lindsay Lohan, the one obviously the iconic one. I stand by that. That first iteration of Debbie Downer makes me laugh as much as anything the show's ever done. Like to this day, I watch it again, and when she says it's official, and then that pause, I can't have children. That gets me. That just gets me every time. As I know, this was a tough one for you, Kirsten. Here, what do you think? I mean, talk to us about Debbie Downer.
Exactly what you said. Like that was for me such a moment in time. And she's so memorable. Rachel Dratch is known for that character. I mean, that's how people associate her with the show usually, that or her Boston accent and Jimmy Fallon and the crazy teenagers. I forget their names. She is fantastic in that. I think at times the iterations of that, they were predictable. So where Stefon edges her out is that we were always waiting and we knew something was coming, but it was just so absurd that it edged out what we weren't able to anticipate versus with Debbie Downer, what we probably were going to anticipate. Her jokes were still great, feline aids and others and such. But what John Mulaney was doing to Bill Hader with the Stefon lines is next level. So if she hadn't been up against Stefon, that certainly could have kept her in. But Stefon is just too much of a heavyweight character for poor Debbie. Womp womp.
Womp, womp. I know. Brad, good to see you. Mike Murray. As I was mentioning, Debbie Downer, just kind of one like iconic sketch, and then 9 other appearances? Well, like 6 other appearances in the heyday from 2004 to 2006. Like, this is a low batting average. Like, how far can a character and a sketch really go with kind of like a low kind of batting average?
As far as the quality of the sketch?
Yeah, or just like how it's valued in SNL history.
Well, I think when you coin an everyday colloquial term like Debbie Downer, you're welcome to bring it back. It's the only character in history that's appeared in multiple anniversary specials, being in SNL 40 and 50. So it has the staying power. So I think maybe this is maybe not the best compliment to Debbie Downer, but when it comes up, say if Rachel Dratch shows up later this season, or maybe she just did the 50th, so maybe a couple years from now, I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed to see Debbie Downer again. And I think people have rose-colored glasses about that sketch because it has hit so hard in the past. So I think the character has the legs. I mean, definitely not against Stefon, but I think it's worthy to be up there. But it's not something that I will rewatch a ton. I agree with you, Thomas. The first one I have rewatched many times, and I think it's the second one, the Ben Affleck one, that I quote, which is, "By the way, it's official. They've located my birth mother, deceased." Like, that's an underrated one for me.
That is funny. See, Brad, Debbie Downer can make you laugh sometimes. Or Mike doing Debbie Downer, I guess.
The Mike Murray performance is pretty stellar.
Thank you.
Oh, man. So, yeah, Debbie Downer, we love you, Rachel Dratch. Just not against a powerhouse like Bill Hader, Stefon. Let's see who Stefon's going to be facing. We have 7-seed Mary Katherine Gallagher and 10-seed MacGruber. I want to start off with Shari.
I feel like I'm going with the obvious choice, but maybe I'm not. Mary Katherine Gallagher.
Mary Katherine Gallagher. All right, 1-0. Mike.
I'll go with the alum of St. Monica's, Mary Katherine Gallagher.
2-0. Okay. We have Brad.
Yeah, I'm going with MacGruber.
All right, 2-1. Kirsten, I get the feeling that this was one of the ones that was like
This
gave you
is
the
the most
issue.
stressful one.
Yeah, I could tell. You're like have cold sweats.
I do. I'm all clammy.
Yeah.
So here's some more of my criteria, right? Halloween costumes? Yes. You've seen people dressed up as both Mary Katherine Gallagher and MacGruber, right? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Movies.
I was wondering which one you were going with. I was like, both. Yeah, movies. Okay.
Yeah, both. Check. They both were in
movies. I want to
movies.
see a MacGruber Katherine Gallagher.
I want to see you do that then.
Done.
All right. Merch. They do both have merch, I believe. I've seen stuff of them. Repeatability? Yeah. I laugh at both of those. My sense of humor leans a bit more to MacGruber, but I remember the Gabriel Byrne episode with Mary Katherine Gallagher. I think, gosh, what year was that, guys? That was, I think I was in high school when that was out.
95.
No, I was out of high school, but around that time. And then, cultural impact, like catchphrases and, seeing a woman do physical comedy like that was really, really cool. And she was throwing herself around in a way that is very memorable for SNL. But MacGruber, oh, geez. You know what? My original is what I'm going to go with. And it was Mary Katherine Gallagher.
All right, Mary Katherine
Final
Gallagher.
answer.
So what was the tally again?
3-1.
Oh, 3-1.
Decision. Okay. So
No,
okay,
3-1.
I'm in the clear. I don't have to make a decision. For the record, MacGruber was the much better movie. I think MacGruber, like the movie MacGruber, was better than it had any right to be. I think.
But you can't count the movie in this, would you?
No.
Wait. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Okay. No, because this was like I actually appreciate the stats and the spreadsheets on this because it's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I could have easily had my vote. Like I was listening to Kirsten ready to change my vote because I had nothing invested. I was like, I don't know, maybe MacGruber. Like I couldn't pick one. And the only reason you mentioned the repeatability, and I thought MacGruber might be a little bit more repeatable, and that's kind of why I gave like a 51 to 49% edge. Like that, it's tough.
Thomas, what movie do you think had a bigger budget, Superstar or MacGruber?
Oh God, I would say MacGruber.
MacGruber,
yeah,
right?
Special effects.
Well,
MacGruber.
it was 2010 versus 99, but Superstar had a $4 million more budget than MacGruber.
My God!
Ooh.
Oh my
Where did
God!
they spend that? Wow. That's crazy. Was Will
Powers
Ferrell...
Booth is not cheap.
I was going to ask who's in that movie. I couldn't remember who are they paying to be in that movie.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Did it make it back at all? Did it make its money back?
No, it lost money. Superstar doubled its budget.
Oh man, yeah. I probably would have voted for Mary Katherine Gallagher as well. I mean, the physical performance that Molly Shannon puts in, like a lot of stuff that she probably, like looking back, like wondering why were you doing that in some ways. But like, much respect to the cap to her. So MacGruber, it's 29 appearances. So, but that you can basically divide that by 3 because it was all 3-part runners or mostly 3-part runners.
10 episodes.
So 10 episodes. So do you count like Mike? I know like by the book it's 29 appearances, but like, do you kind of just really count it as 10 appearances, or do you still really adhere to that 29 off the record, off the books?
I differentiated in my preparation for this pod, and I did by episodes. Especially because, we talked about Father Guido, and he hosted a couple times, so that's obviously going to really pump up those numbers. But so yeah, if I was doing the by the numbers show and I was covering an episode with MacGruber, then he'd get appearance stats for those appearances. But yeah, he's appeared in 10 episodes of SNL, so I'd do that. 9 with Forte in the cast, and then when he returned to host, which I did give a lot of credit for. If you came back to host and that was a character that you wanted to reprise, I think that's worthy, which is why on Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer earlier, I was like, well, Phil Hartman could do a lot of things, and the fact that he did Frankenstein and Caveman Lawyer, I think, gives a lot of weight to Caveman Lawyer, who only appeared, so little times, 3 times before that.
Yeah, that does say a lot. Possibly the only thing that I liked out of that Will Forte episode was MacGruber.
Kids Clash was good.
That was okay. It had weird pacing. I don't know. But
the whole episode had a weird pacing.
Yeah, the whole episode was just very weird. But yeah, so I think I would have picked Mary Catherine Gallagher. She does move on to the second round. So we have our second round matchups all set. So we have Wayne and Garth taking on Colleen Rafferty here. Let's go to Kirsten on this one.
Oh. Give me a second. It's going to be Wayne and Garth.
Wayne and Garth. All right. Brad, what do you think about this?
They're iconic, Wayne and Garth.
All right, Shari, do Wayne and Garth advance for you? Or are we having an upset?
No. Going with the crowd, Wayne and Garth.
Yeah, Mike, this is such a powerhouse here, Wayne and Garth and Colleen Rafferty, like compare and contrast. I know it's like, kind of wildly different characters, but I like compare and contrast the two in your mind as you vote for it.
Well, it is tough. It's 2 characters. I mentioned, we could say Will Forte and the Falcon earlier, but it's really just the Tri-Delts and Wayne and Garth as the only 2 like tandem sketches. But I mean, it's gonna be tough we're gonna go on. I'm gonna vote for Wayne and Garth, so they're already ahead anyway. But I'll make it official. But to compare that to, it's a Kate McKinnon character that is synonymous with her. And you think about Kate's work on SNL, a lot of update pieces, a lot of political pieces, and this is an original character that felt like no one else in that cast could play it. And maybe going back, I could see Jan Hooks or Gilda doing it. But it's very much Kate, and I think it'll age well in the future. So some of these maybe already haven't aged well, but we still love them, and we remembered the context at the time. I mean, but how you can't take down Wayne and Garth like that from an 8 versus a 1 seed. So it's hard to compare, but I think that Wayne and Garth is more SNL, just face value. So it's easy for me anyway.
Yeah, and Brad, to go off kind of what we were talking about previously, with like MacGruber and Will Forte chose to bring that back. Kate chose this as basically her farewell sketch as a cast member. It was a cold open at the beginning of that episode, but it obviously meant a lot to her. She teared up and cried and said farewell to everybody at the end, and this was the sketch that she kind of like handpicked, I assume, to do that with. So to me, Brad, like that says a lot.
I guess. I don't know. I'm not. I'm not one who loves for big cast send-offs. I've never, which is more of a recent thing where where Kristen Wiig danced off and that Kate McKinnon. I've never really liked like let's put a spotlight on you leaving. So that for me doesn't do anything to me. I understand it's an important character to her, and it was a big character of that era. But again, in comparison to something as iconic as Wayne and Garth, I just don't think it would hold.
Thomas, can I follow up and say, was it cheapened that it was brought back so soon with Gosling and then at SNL 50? Because I think the gravitas of the exit, if you value that, is less gravitas if it's not the send-off.
No, because I remember how it felt in the moment. So I think, it's a live show. It's, Saturday Night Live, and we're supposed to feel what we feel like when we're watching it in the moment. And I remember how I felt in the moment, and that doesn't take away, doesn't retroactively make me not like it as I was watching it. And I think it like served its purpose, and I kind of liked it. It got brought back when Gosling hosted, and we got to see like Meryl Streep come in and be part of the fun there. So Brad's just like
that Meryl Streep role should have been played by Jane Curtin at the 50th. I'm sorry.
Maybe she didn't want to, or maybe I don't know. Maybe she didn't want to be.
It's Meryl
Streep.
Yeah.
Who has zero history with the show.
Thank you, Mike Murray.
Yeah, like no history.
Thank you.
100%.
I agree with Brad.
Because it's Meryl Streep.
Jane's even complained about, that's why she didn't go to the 25th, is because she had nothing to do. So I'm sure she would have loved to have been a part of it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, based on other conversations I've had with people, she wasn't asked.
She wasn't asked. She wasn't asked to do anything.
To do that role.
Oh, to do that role. Okay. Yeah, I think she would have been good with it.
Should have been great. Or Nora Dunn. I would have taken a Nora Dunn appearance.
Yeah. So we got Wayne and Garth advancing. Probably no surprise there. Taking on the winner of the next matchup, Mr. Robinson against DeAndre Cole. So this might be 4-5 on paper. Seems close. But yeah, I don't know. We shall see. What do you think, Brad?
If for nothing else, importance of the sketch and cast member to the show at that time, Mr. Robinson.
All right, 1-0, Mr. Robinson. Shari?
Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to do a Kirsten. I feel so torn. I feel like I'm like in halves because both of these sketches are so iconic to their times. And both cast members are so iconic. I have to give it to Eddie. I have to give it to Mr. Robinson just by this much.
All right, 2-0, Mr. Robinson. Kirsten, are you going to pull a Kirsten and stress about this?
I'm actually not going to stress about this. And here's why. My vote is going to be Mr. Robinson. I'll say that. There was progression in that story, as evidenced by the Eddie Murphy coming back and performing it again. And now he's in a gentrified neighborhood, and his neighbors spent millions of dollars buying the apartment next door where his friend Freddie used to cook crack. And he's now stolen a 72-inch television. Right? Like that, at its best, recurring characters are, SNL's version of world building. And then when there's no world, and you could argue that there's a bit of a world with What's Up With That, but it's almost like it's a one-man karaoke show at times. And it's just, it becomes very rinse repeat. And I love it. I know that Jason Sudeikis will come in with the running man. Fred's going to grab a saxophone. We're going to have Lindsay from Fleetwood Mac either in person or as an impression. We're going to grab a celebrity from the audience. Like, I know that recipe. But what was so interesting about Mr. Robinson is so much of the social commentary there. And that to me was extremely compelling. It was probably a little hilarious and edgy when it aired. But I thought it had an opinion. It was the version of SNL I think that we all like when it just starts to put its elbows out a little bit and talk about important things, but turn them into comedy and find a way to do it. And it had a lot more depth and breadth than DeAndre. So a lot of reasons there, but Mr. Robinson is my vote.
Yeah, Mike, does it matter to you that Mr. Robinson was basically just Eddie the camera, whereas DeAndre Cole was the lead, but still part of an ensemble?
I think it matters. I think that Eddie being almost a completely solo piece every appearance, I think that gives it more weight to it. I think that's a good thing. I don't think it takes anything away from Keenan's DeAndre Cole, because the nature of that sketch is the controlled chaos and what's going to come in next and who's going to be there. I made a list of the 21 guests that he had on there, and the names are just incredible, with like Robin Williams, Morgan Freeman, Ernest Borgnine, Mike Tyson. Like, just you never know who's going to be there. So that's also part of it too. That's not really part of DeAndre Cole, the character, but the sketch. If we do recurring sketches bracket, then of course I think that has more power than the recurring character of DeAndre Cole. My vote's going to be easy. It's going to be Eddie for Mr. Robinson. I went with the upset in round 1 with Father Guido, and that was really tough for me. That was the hardest matchup on the board. And then I went with DeAndre, maybe controversially, to give Thomas the swing vote over an original cast for the nerds. And now I'm going to say it's easy for me in round 2 to say Mr. Robinson advances to the final 4.
Well, we got DeAndre Cole to the second round, which was good enough for me. What Up With That is maybe my personal favorite recurring sketch. But I think DeAndre Cole as a character probably only goes so far, with especially compared to Mr. Robinson. So I agree with Mike. I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, if we're doing recurring sketches, What Up With That would have the advantage for me. But DeAndre Cole is a character, congratulations, Keenan and DeAndre. But I can only take you so far. So I think this was the right choice, advancing Mr. Robinson to the final 4, where he's going to be taking on Wayne Garth in the national semifinal here. So we have in Region 3, great match. Probably, the matchup of the tournament so far, in my opinion. It's Church Lady as the 3 seed and Matt Foley as a 6 seed. So I think I should say maybe surface level. It's probably notoriety, with the 2 big names matching up. But I'm curious to see as we delve in what people think. So I want to start here with Kirsten, Church Lady, and Matt Foley.
Okay, we get up my numbers.
Sense the stress and I pounce.
Yeah, I know. I made eye contact. That was my mistake. Based on my scoring, I am going to give this to Matt Foley.
Matt Foley 1-0. Real quick, Kirsten, what was the thought process behind that tough decision? And
the
scoring.
Repeatability. I can watch Church Lady and chuckle a bit, but Matt Foley slays me every time. The cultural impact, how much we spoke about it after, I think, Chris Farley was just such a magical human being, and there are so many moments of his that I remember so fondly. So maybe some of the heartstrings are being pulled here. But I think of the van down by the river comments and, the way he's pulling up his pants and all that. Someone could just do those motions with the pants and we'd know what they were doing. We'd know who they were being. And I don't know that I could say the same for Church Lady. So there were reasons like that edged the numbers that way or push the numbers that way. And I think that there are more repeatable lines from, I remember saying in a van down by the river, I could say that to this day and people would know immediately. They know.
Yeah. Well, Church Lady has a relatively famous line in and of itself, Brad, right?
Could it be Satan? Oh, wait, that's number 2. Not
we'll
even
have whoever edits the podcast put some reverb on that Satan part.
but do you say that? Would I know what you're talking about? You could be talking about a lot of things.
But the line the line Thomas is referring, well, isn't that special? I would say yes, said a lot. Probably
could
more
you say
than
that today? And would people know versus in a van down by the river?
I think so.
If you said it in the voice.
In the voice?
In the church lady voice. I think with Van Down by the River, you could just say it and people would know. But I think you would have to say, isn't that special, in the church lady voice, which I'm asking Brad to do right now.
Well, isn't that special? Listen, I'm no Mike Murray. I'm sorry.
Mike, what's your vote, Brad?
Church lady.
Church lady. Okay, 1-1. Mike, do you have a church lady impression?
Frickin' da.
Church lady impression. I mean, I'm still just stewing over this pick right now, so I'm on the spot. I will say, we brought up, could it be Satan? Rewatching Church Lady, I think I laughed every time.
Yeah, right?
I knew it was coming. I know the beats, and I still laughed watching the first one and all the way to season 50. For Church Lady is the only SNL character to appear in 5 different decades. I mean, this is a synonymous
Not Nick
to
the
show.
Lounge Singer?
Well, I guess maybe if you count SNL 40, right? But I'm thinking of like actual different decades.
Did Nick appear in the 2020s?
I don't think so.
Oh, I was thinking of the Radio City thing. Sorry.
Oh, true.
Because he was there.
All right, so I think I switched midway here. Here's what I'm going to say. I think like the iconography of the blue checkered shirt, the green tie, khakis, glasses. It's that right there can make just picture SNL and have Chris Farley was cast to play that character. Van Down by the River. I'm 35 years old, thrice divorced. It can't beat the church lady. It has to be at the end of the day. Like, it's Dana Carvey's number one character. It beats Garth as a solo character. I think I have to go church lady, but it's really difficult to do for me.
Okay. 2-1 church lady. Shari, this has been interesting so far.
This is really hard. These are like two, when you think of Saturday Night Live, you think of these two characters right there. This is really hard. I think though, just because Kirsten, I think, made such a good argument, and this is what I meant when I was saying earlier how I look up to all of you, because you're so eloquent and articulate. And in this case, Kirsten, you kind of pushed me. I do think that Matt Foley's relevance is just a tiny bit more echoing to me. I feel like he gets talked about more. Maybe it's because Farley is gone and that makes us, appreciate it more. I hate to say that, but so perhaps that plays into it a bit, but I'm going to give the edge to Matt Foley, to Van Down. But like Kirsten says, I hear that line constantly. I'm a public librarian. I hear the patrons even saying it. So as resonant as Church Lady is and still popular, I still think Matt Foley is more with the masses.
This is tough for me.
Can I try to sway Mike? Can I try to get Mike since he's on the fence? I want to try to sway Mike Murray. Because what are we at? Are we at?
We're at a 2-2 tie, Brad.
Yeah. So
Brad,
I want to see if I can sway
you.
Mike and get... I want to see if I can... Wait, Mike's with me? I thought he went Foley.
No, I went church lady.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was sounding like that. See, Mike likes to have...
I totally missed it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
he was going, and I'm like, how's he talking about...
So we all thought he was
good.
going to go to Matt Foley, and then he just sort of said church lady. So you could try
Are you
to
on the
sway
fence?
me,
Are you
Brad.
on the fence? Or are you on the fence? Or are you... So I love Matt Foley. I think Matt Foley is an example of diminished returns. I think after the third one, it falls off drastically. And I think it's very one note. You know what he's going to do. Farley falls down. We get it. And it's very funny. And I love him and I love the character. But the church lady's got longevity. I mean, I don't know if Chris Farley, if he was here today, would be doing Church Lady in season 50 like Dana Carvey can pull off now. I think the writing was just better and smarter and a bit of a bigger breath. Props to Rosie Schuster. But I think Carvey did more with that character. It was a better setup, I think, for the character because he got to have the talk show format. So he had guests on, and they were able to write smarter with guests like, Jerry, like the religious people and Jan Hooks, I'm forgetting who the hell she played, but I just think they did better with that. Fred Savage playing the little one, John Goodman. They just did more with the character. Mm-hmm. Matt Foley, I think, just did the same thing every sketch because Farley was so good. You could get away with it, but only for X amount of times. And then it's like, okay, we know where this is going. We're like, you knew the beats of Church Lady, but you always wanted to see where it would go, how it would develop. I think they just did a better job with the character and with having smart writing as opposed to how do we have Farley fall through a table and jump through the window and yell at people.
And that's why I made my switch, Brad, was thinking about those two sides. Going with Church Lady is the variety you could get. You really don't know. You know the lines, you know the beats, like you said, but it was just you could put Church Lady in every era, as I mentioned, 5 different decades. And I think I could hold my head high and say Matt Foley is my favorite or makes me laugh the most. I think Church Lady is a better character of SNL. That's for me.
I buy that. I hear you.
Though I do like the Spanish Matt Foley one. Like Michael McKean was the dad. Yeah, I thought that was funny. And then he because he made a reference to Paul Rodriguez. He said some of it in Spanish. Like he did his whole thing, but it was in Spanish. Not the whole thing, but he introduced himself in Spanish. So I don't know. I kind of like that variation of it. But I was 53-47 with this, Brad. And what you said actually confirmed my thoughts, and so I'm going to go with Church Lady as well. For those reasons,
I'm switching mine to Church Lady because of what Brad said, but I wanted to see what you said, Thomas. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I had no chance with you in the spreadsheets. I didn't even think I could.
No, that you made such a great, sorry, I totally cut you off, Thomas. You made such a great, both of you and Mike, point around the longevity. Like, Church Lady is a social archetype. She's a meme in human form, right? And that's before memes were a thing. So like Pat, the Church Lady, Linda Richman even, they weren't just quirky people. They were very much like mirrors of awkwardness and moral superiority and cultural absurdity and kind of like proto-Twitter personas where you could sum up what they do in a tweet. And if you couldn't do that, maybe it's not ready to recur. Like it's right. She'd always have an opinion on something every decade where you're correct, Mike. Like Matt Foley did start to feel one note in that respect. So he may get bigger laughs from me, but there's an evergreenness to the Church Lady that I've come around to see. So, sorry, I've left you now. I apologize, but I've been swayed.
Yeah, I think you could just replicate why Church Lady was so good more so than Matt Foley. It's like Church Lady would shame people, but also there was some repression there under with the Church Lady. There was definitely some, like, you can tell, some sexual repression, and there was a lot like bubbling up from underneath the surface there, along with shaming. It was like a projection, kind of like Church Lady was shaming people. It's almost like in a projection sort of way, and you could I can imagine
true to life.
Any sort of right, exactly, like any sort of scandal too that pops up. If something popped up this week, they could bring Dana back on SNL and do a Church Lady, and it could be relevant. So I would vote for Church Lady. I love Matt Foley, love Farley. Sorry, Shari. But Church Lady edges out Foley for me.
Unless, Shari, you've also been swayed now.
Yeah. Do you want to change your vote too?
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter, but Brad and Mike made really good points that I had to take into account, that all 5 decades, it is true. And, there is an evergreenness. And Brad's also right. It did peter out after the third. And I had kind of forgotten about that.
Same.
Especially when Chris came back to host, and I know that was just a really
So is this a sweep?
I think so.
It is.
episode.
Yeah. To be fair,
tie to a 5-0.
Yeah, it was 3-2,
baby.
and now it's 5-0.
Oh, Brad, little virtual high five there.
Okay, let's stop. Let's not do that.
But let's be fair.
Brad.
Let's be fair. The first Matt Foley is amazing.
Oh, it's
like it is hands down
Matt
one of
Foley
the
is
greatest
better
sketches
than-
of all time.
Yeah, the first Matt Foley is
amazing.
better than any church lady sketch.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is. Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Higher ceiling.
Yeah.
For that reason. And yeah, for my own podcast, SNL by the Numbers, my intro uses
We don't do
SNL
plugs here. Sorry,
clips.
no plugs.
And I use Van Down with the River. I mean, how could you not? So I'm going against that too.
Yeah, Mike, Brad got annoyed when Jeremy and I plugged Pop Culture 5. You can listen on Spotify and Apple.
To be fair, I actually had listeners comment to me that they thought it was a bit much. I'm just saying.
Ooh, listeners. Humble brag. So
Brad has left the screen.
Yeah, Thomas, all two of them were very upset with you.
Tell
My
your
mother-
mom to chill it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. My mother doesn't listen to my podcast. Oh my God.
Oh boy. Okay. Moving on to Region 4. We got Stefon, played by Bill Hader, of course. John Mulaney, his partner in crime, behind the scenes there. 21 appearances, mostly behind the scenes. I know someone was going to correct me. 21 appearances, 19 times on Weekend Update, including SNL 40 with Edward Norton. So Stefon against Mary Katherine Gallagher, who kind of squeaked by MacGruber there. So I want to start with Kirsten. Let's do Stefon and Mary Katherine Gallagher, shall we?
We shall. And I'm going to give it to, this is going against something that I'm going to go against my own numbers here and go, this is a heart vote. It's for Stefon.
Stefon. And you were on SNL Hall of Fame. Sorry, Brad. You were on SNL Hall of Fame with me talking about Bill Hader and Stefon. So I know how much you love Stefon. But yeah, you're also a big Mary Katherine Gallagher fan. So 1-0 Stefon. Mike?
I'm going to go with Stefon here.
All right. Shari?
I'm going to keep the momentum going and say Stefon as well.
And Brad, would this have been like how I expected?
Stefon. Yep.
Okay. There was just like with Mary Katherine Gallagher, I know a lot of these, Stefon's pretty much kind of paid by numbers. A lot of these are, but just the pure physicality, like I think maybe Farley could match it with Matt Foley, and especially in that first sketch, but with what Molly was able to do, like talk about a fearless performer. Like that's always what stood out to me about Mary Katherine Gallagher.
We should give her credit too. She's the only character from this era, right? Because this was an era when SNL found recurring characters and then literally just went to the well as often as possible. And I think that might hurt her a little bit because she was out there so many times that it just got to be maybe too much. Because it's good. I think we just got it too much. This cheerleaders. It's like you got some of those sketches in that era were just nonstop.
Oh yeah, I think it's a testament to Mary Katherine Gallagher's character that she kind of rose above the surface. She kind of rose to the top. But, we had the Culps, who I personally really love, the Delicious Dish ladies, as you mentioned, the cheerleaders. But this seems to be the one from that late 90s that popped up in the late 90s that really stayed with people, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we're conflating the boldness of her as a female performer and this physical comedy, and that it feels so energetic and exciting with the success of this as a character? Because the character itself really did hit the same beats over and over. She'd put her fingers in her armpit, she'd smell them, she'd be nervous, she'd crash on the chairs. But it started to become a little predictable, and I wonder if we're conflating our excitement about her role as a performer in that time and her ability to throw herself around with how good the character actually was.
I don't think so. I think because she was on so many times. Because to your point, I actually didn't take into account her being a female and the physicality she was doing. Like when you mentioned that, I realized like, oh, I should have thought about that more and given it more weight because I didn't. And so to me, it was just more, we just saw it too many times. To your point, you know, if we only saw it 5 or 6 times, it wouldn't have felt as one, may not have felt as much as one note. You know what I mean? Like I think they just abused it.
But
it did happen on an average of every 6.3 episodes since it debuted. Wow. So think about Molly's career and when it debuted in that Burn episode, season 21, all the way to the Sean Hayes, the final one in season 26, before she reprised it when she hosted in season 32. Like, yeah, so every 6 episodes, 6 or 7, you're going to get Mary Katherine Gallagher. And if we're talking about the matchup, you know, just going back to Stefon, is if you look at all the Mary Katherine Gallagher sketches, if I rattled off quotes from them, this panel of really intelligent SNL people might not recognize them, but I feel like if I rattled off some Stefon, you know, New York's Hottest Club is, I bet these people here would remember all of them.
Yeah.
And
did Mary Katherine Gallagher, did she bow out at all? Because Stefon had a full storyline. He got married, you know, and there was very much a world there, but
I know Mary Katherine Gallagher joined the gang. Didn't she join that gang?
Was that just Gwyneth one episode,
Paltrow
though?
And I don't know if there was like an official like let's complete your arc.
Yeah.
Really, but I think there was like a story with her. I think there was a character that they built with in the sketches, like the show had built with Mary Katherine Gallagher.
Interesting that we can't remember.
No, I mean she was the precocious girl who wanted to be a superstar. Obviously, she obviously like grew up on television at home. Like her parents ignored her because she was able to recall these like TV movies and different things like that. So I think there was a little bit of depth to her. I think maybe it's almost like going to a concert and the music's pretty good, but I think like it's a concert that has decent music but has like a crazy like stage show and lights and all this stuff happening. So maybe sometimes you feel like it was better than maybe it actually was if you just looked at it for the music, which was decent. But to your point, Kirsten, I maybe agree that like the performance aspect and her falling through walls might have let me be like the light show of it all.
Didn't she get a send off of something? Didn't she like play with a band or something on her last?
She went through the studio somehow. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. I thought I remember
her final episode, right?
Right?
Yeah, like on our final episode, I thought she did that character and like played with either the musical guest or the house band or something. I don't know. Maybe not an official send off, but I thought I remember.
Oh, and then so she was a superstar essentially.
I've
got to rewatch it.
Yeah.
No, but I do. I mean, all's that to say, like Stefon, just like an iconic character, so hard to beat. I think even if Mary Katherine Gallagher was a little more fleshed out and a better written character, it would have been Stefon.
Say like in a movie, perhaps.
Yeah, if only they would have like developed the character even more in a longer, perhaps like hour and a half to 2 hour.
Can any of you
format.
tell me about the plot of that and the storyline?
Could not. Nope. Shari, have you seen that movie?
I actually saw it recently.
What'd you think?
I saw it originally when it came out,
Mm-hmm.
and then I saw it again recently. It just came up while I was flipping around, and she's in some kind of dance contest. She's trying to be she's trying to be a celebrity, be a big star. And she does this dance contest, and she and Will Ferrell become a romantic item. And that's kind of how it ends. It's very vague now, and I didn't see it that long ago. But welcome to the 55-year-old brain.
There's some arrested development with that character. Yeah, where she's just, we see her in this very small part of her life where she's hyper-focused on this one thing.
Yes. But she wins some type of dance contest. I think it's a dance contest.
How much was this budget?
14 million. 4 million more than MacGruber.
Jeez. Were there like Fred Astaire holograms and stuff, Shari? Like, did they spend a lot of money on like holograms and like crazy technology or what?
No, I mean, it was just, it was in the church auditorium where she always has her rehearsals, I think.
They must have filmed it in Vatican City.
It's so vague. I think I saw it about a year or two ago. But wow. I just remember the final scene, and I remember her and Will Ferrell kissing, and it was very weird. Because she's strange. So tiny and he's so big, just kind of like him and Dratch. And they were very funny together, but it definitely wasn't, one of the best of the 11.
Yeah.
But, it was what it was.
Yeah, sorry, Mary Katherine. You couldn't beat Stefon. So let's get to the final four. The winner of Region 1, Wayne and Garth, against the winner of Region 2, Mr. Robinson. So we start with Mike Murray.
Another tough one at this point. Final four, we got a 1 seed versus a 4 seed. It's gonna be Wayne and Garth again for me.
Wayne and Garth, monsters that transcended SNL, for sure. Shari, what do you think?
Oh yeah, they're beyond Saturday Night Live at this point. They're just so iconic. I have to keep the momentum going with Mike and say Wayne and Garth just by a hair.
And they got 2 movies, Thomas.
2 movies, which I like both. I think both of them are good. I know the second one's, people feel what they feel, but pretty successful ones, I think. Brad?
It's funny. I didn't think about it that much when we started talking about, 2 characters versus 1. If there's very few people, I think, as a single performer could take on a duo, especially such a big duo as Wayne and Garth. And if there is one, Eddie Murphy's got to be one of them. All that said, I still got to say Wayne and Garth.
Yeah, Wayne and Garth advances. Kirsten, was this even a That's Kirsten when she's not stressed.
Yeah, exactly. Party on. Yeah, Wayne and Garth.
Yeah, so this was a character, or Wayne Campbell was a character that Mike Myers brought with him from the CBC. He would do like 1 minute kind of interludes in like a larger show as this Wayne Campbell character. But it really, like, I don't know, Brad, what in 1989, like what about Wayne and Garth do you think made them pop so much on the show?
I think what made it pop is in that era, Saturday Night Live made a concerted effort to go younger, to hit a younger audience. And those characters spoke to the audience they wanted to hit. And I think it's just that magic combination of, as you mentioned, Mike Myers had this character, and it was a solo, like you said, to start with. When you pair it with somebody, especially somebody like Dana Carvey, it's just like a magic connection. And it just was firing on all cylinders. And it did so much. I could see people thinking it's very one note, but I would argue it's not, because the basis is all there. 2 slacker kids in their basement, cable access channel, but they would do stuff, like the great Aerosmith episode that I'm sure maybe we'll talk about. When Aerosmith is their guest on the show, to doing the top 10 list, which kind of became their go-to routine at times. Then they'd have like dream sequences when Madonna was on, so they were able to do enough different things to kind of keep the characters, for lack of a better word, fresh, even though they were running through the same beats every time. As opposed to, Mr. Robinson, as you mentioned, Mike, like he's a solo to camera, and they wrote it really well, and they took it as far as they could, and they were making a lot of great comments, but I think they just were able to do more. And again, because you have 2 guys, you can play off each other better. But I think they were just really tapping into that younger audience they wanted to hit at that time.
Yeah, Mike, we've had discussions about like PDD in terms of recently about in terms of location. Like, we always see PDD in the office, and some people want them to go outside of the office, and some people don't. I think Wayne and Garth, that's an example. Wayne's World is of, you can stay in one location if you and still build a world within that one location. I know there was a dream sequence that they had one time with like Madonna and stuff, but for the most part they were in that basement, but you could still build such a cool world just within that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's never been a blueprint for the dictatorship of the proletariat, so there's bound to be mistakes. But no, it's a love letter to the 80s. I mean, it came out in 89 to Gen X. It's two characters in a basement who love rock and roll, and it's the way it spoke to people is the reason it came back so much. I mean, I have to take points a little bit off anything that's a parody, which is like MacGruber or Mr. Robinson. It's using source material, intellectual property to get you into that world where Wayne and Garth created their own world. You're in their basement. You know them. Do you feel like they're your friends or that they represent you and your friend in your basement?
Yeah, I think that's super well said, and I had that in the back of my mind when I was talking about Mr. Robinson before. It's like, okay, we know it's a takeoff of Mr. Rogers, and how much do you consider that? And I think it makes sense that he's reached its ceiling here. So we got Wayne and Garth advancing to the championship match, facing either 3-seed Church Lady or 2-seed Stefon. Tough one here. Shari, what do you think of this one?
Two of my favorite cast members for starters, but I'm still going to give it to Stefon.
Stefon 1-0. Brad, going in, with seeing the bracket and stuff, I thought this might happen, and I was leaning one way in my mind, but maybe it's a little closer matchup than now for me than when I originally thought. Like, what do you think?
Church Lady, for everything that I said before, I think it holds up as a bigger piece. Mike kind of hit upon it on Father Sarducci earlier. As Stefon being a Weekend Update character, I think you're able to get more mileage out of that character because you're not throwing them in sketches and situations you could get tired of. So yeah. I think it's the one reason why Stefon was able to get as far as the character did in this piece, because it played well enough that you could beat like a Debbie Downer in a matter of Katherine Gallagher. But I think, to me, Stefon's kind of reached its limit here when you get something up against something like a Church Lady.
All right, 1-1. Kirsten, Stefon did start off in a sketch, and then they just kind of put him in a Weekend Update. But he was in that, what was it, with Ben Affleck? It was it was a movie pitch sketch with Ben Affleck. So that was Stefon's first appearance. Then they moved him to Weekend Update pretty wisely, I think.
I agree. And he almost had a movie made, if you look at the internet. This is a tough one. Initially, would have been hands down Stefon for me. So I'm going to stick with that. But I could potentially be convinced if there is an even split here.
Yeah, Mike Murray. Stefon finished, I think, in the SNN's cast or character countdown as the top one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and it makes sense. You think about the fan base and the love of Hader and all the accolades he receives, rightly so. And this. I mean, are you looking for my vote or some commentary first?
Both.
All right. I mean, this is. We get down to the final four. It's a war here. I think, and Thomas, you just mentioned it, but the Stefon arc is fascinating. This is talking about March Madness brackets. Like, this is a Cinderella story arc for Stefon coming in that movie pitch sketch, because they clearly had the idea of that character where he's, kind of just offbeat, juxtaposed to his brother, which is Ben Affleck. He's pitching a movie and he's just kind of making these like queer centric references. And so it's kind of just, A and B, and it didn't really work. It's not really a great sketch. It doesn't really show off the magic of Stefon. That was season 34, episode 7. They did not bring him to update till season 34, episode 20. So a long time after. to have, I mean, usually when a character doesn't work, it you don't see that with all these characters on this list today. We're not seeing somebody have a complete redemption and then go on this run where they're now a 2 seed, having, 20 episodes, 17 haters in the cast. He hosted twice. He brought it back both times. SNL 40. It's just a kind of a fascinating, at least historically. So it might be a surprise given, people who listen to me talk about SNL that I'm going to go Stefon and not Church Lady. But I think that that run means a lot to me. And I think just the joke writing, if I had to go 1 for 1, the joke writing of Stefon, I'm going to go with that. So I guess it's going to be a tie.
So we're at, what's the count now?
Stefon.
Church Lady.
Shari, what did you say? Stefon, right? Yeah.
Stefon.
Okay, I guess that was swing vote then.
Okay, so that's what I thought.
You're off the hook.
I guess it's 3-1. I think I might have leaned towards.
Can I try?
Please, Brad.
I just want to argue, because what Mike just said, joke writing versus sketch writing. Because, and this is like, don't make fun of me, Thomas. The Stefon works so well because you can't wait to see what he says next, what the next line is, and because he's trying not to break, because it's that Mulaney writing at the last minute. And what you love about Stefon isn't so much what he's saying, it's him trying to say stuff he's never seen and the joke being played on him. And that's what it is over and over and over again. Where Church Lady is a sketch, a start to finish sketch. There's structure, there's back and forth with other characters. The character itself is more multidimensional than Stefon. I just think there's so much more working for Church Lady than Stefon. As smart as Stefon is, and as smart as John Mulaney's writing is, I think Mike said it, it's joke writing versus sketch writing. And I'd have to give it to this show to sketch writing.
For either of you, Shari, Kirsten, even Mike, does the fact that it's a sketch show kind of play into or make you reconsider based on what Brad said?
My head went back to recurring character and just character. And Stefon is a favorite character for me. But you're making a strong case. Church Lady's great, but it's
Brad,
character
that's
for me.
like super good points. And I maybe coming into this, I'd be like, oh, Stefon, no brainer. But I found myself maybe leaning Church Lady after you kind of like laying it out like that. It's just tough. So luckily I don't have to cast a vote. It might have been Church Lady. But maybe Shari or Mike or Kirsten could have swayed me back to the other way. But Dana Carvey's still in it. He's still in the game, just not as Church Lady. So we have in the championship match, top 2 seeds, we have Wayne and Garth, Mike Myers and Dana Carvey taking on Stefon, Bill Hader. So Stefon, like I said, 21 appearances, same as Wayne and Garth. I think that they have 21 appearances as well. So 1 versus 2. Let's kick things off with Shari with the first vote.
Wow. This is really interesting because we're looking at 2 end golden eras, to quote Seth Meyers, and the golden characters from those eras, in my opinion. I think a lot of people's. This is really hard, but, I think I'm going to go with the slightly newer. I'm going to go with Stefon.
All right, 1-0 Stefon. Brad, championship game here.
I'm going Wayne and Garth. I think they're more iconic. 2, I enjoy them as characters more. It's going to be very much a similar argument I had against Church Lady against Stefon. I just think there's more going on with them in their world. I think they're so iconic to the show. They closed out the 40th. They were supposed to be back on the 50th if Dana wasn't sick. So I think they mean more to the show, and I love them as characters more.
All right, who looks the most nervous between Mike and Kirsten right now? It's Kirsten. Mike. So I'm going to save Kirsten. So I'm going to have.
I actually feel great, but fooled you.
Feel great? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, showed some mercy, but it wasn't needed, I guess. All right, this is this has happened. This is why tonight's been a fun night, and I think quality podcasting all around from those involved, because there's been some matchups that have just the way it's fallen that have been really hard to argue a certain way, and maybe my vote for Stefon got him to the finals, and maybe if I didn't, then it would be a tiebreaker. Thomas could have advanced Church Lady over Stefon, and now here we are in the final. So I think this one is actually pretty easy for me. I think it's going to be Wayne and Garth, and it's think about the scope of SNL, and we can talk about the semantics or the qualifications of having a duo versus a solo. That's totally fair. And sketch versus update, also fair. So we had 19 Wayne's World sketches, that aired in the show. Wayne did have 2 appearances without Garth, in the Melrose Place sketch with Locklear, and the recurring characters for Unity song. He was in that one too. But this is a perfect marriage of 2 of the titans of SNL. So it's nothing against Stefon or Church Lady or anyone else in this bracket, that these 2 are the ones to take down everybody. It was Mike Myers' 4th episode, bringing in a character previous, teamed up with Dana Carvey in his 46th episode. He'd already been established and, doing political impressions. He brought in Church Lady and, Choppin' Broccoli in his debut episode. That was his first night on SNL. Now here he is down the road with this guy, Mike Myers, who's a mid-season hire, and they do a 10-1 called Wayne's World. And think about the catchphrases, swing, we're not worthy, party on, all these different things, and the look, the feel, it's Wayne's World all day for me. This one is a worthy opponent in Stefon, but it's Wayne's World all day.
All right, 2-1. Kirsten, you said you weren't sweating this. Does that still hold true?
It does. It's going to be Wayne's World. It's who I thought would actually, if we were in Vegas, I would have bet on Wayne's World. They represented such a cultural shift when we started seeing male characters have empathy, and we started seeing real bromances, and we started seeing, dudes hanging out, and they didn't have to be tough guys. Like, they're just 2 nerdy guys, and they, giggled in the basement. There was a joke about Ritalin. Like, there was just so much that they talked about that we weren't used to. And if you think about it, they are the original YouTubers. They are the original BuzzFeed listicle. They're all of these things that are popular social norms for how we now absorb information and entertainment and culture and all these things. And they were just doing that with a non-digital form, either cable TV or literal board. What they managed to achieve with the movie, I think people probably would say Bohemian Rhapsody was in SNL. They might not even know. It just became one whole thing, this whole world of these characters. So it is a really easy one for me. It's Wayne and Garth for so many reasons. And I agree, they are just synonymous with the show and the way that the show can create worlds, launch characters that are relevant in all sorts of decades. I think they even did an Uber Eats commercial at the 2021 Super Bowl. Like,
that's right.
There's still characters that we want to see and we want to hear from. Yeah. Wayne and Garth for the win.
And both of them your Halloween costume. Like, little kids will dress as Wayne and Garth right now.
100%
for Halloween. So
yeah.
I think Wayne and Garth win this. It was 3-1. I think they were so close with Stefon and Wayne and Garth that maybe the slightest tiebreaker for me would have been that I know Garth in real life. Like, literally, I know him. I used to work with him. The guy who Garth was based on is Brad Carvey, Dana Carvey's brother. I knew him in real life. So and it was wild. He developed some software that a company that I had worked for used. So he would come into the office every now and then, and he would linger before meeting up with our boss, with the CEO. He would kind of like, my office was the closest to the front desk, so he would come in and just chit chat with me and my coworker. And he talks like Garth, totally like he even now and then he would reference his brother Dana, and he would leave the office, and my coworker and I would look at each other like, I can't not see Garth, like every time. And it wasn't like acknowledged between us, but my coworker and I knew. So every time Brad would come in and talk to us, nice guy, super smart. But like, I used to have these interactions every few weeks with Garth.
Thomas, are you lying? Is this for real?
No, this is completely real.
That's incredible.
Yeah. He lives, I don't know if he still lives, but he lived in New Mexico.
In a van down by the river? But nice guy. So like Wayne and Garth, like Garth Algar is so sentimental to me because I know the real Garth. And that would be like the smallest tiebreaker. That's like a fun SNL fact about me that I don't know if I've ever revealed on any SNL podcast.
That's fantastic.
So, so all that said, Wayne and Garth win this. So congratulations to you, Mike Myers, and you, Dana Carvey. I would have been curious to see about a church lady, Wayne and Garth, Dana versus Dana kind of battle, but I think this.
I thought that's where it was going to be. That was when I looked at it at the beginning. I thought church lady would make it to the end. It would be a Carvey versus Carvey situation.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too.
Those darn Canadians showing up with all their charisma.
That's what I'm talking about.
Sorry.
So thank you all for joining me. Shari, how'd you feel about this and the outcome, and where can we find you in the podcasting space?
You all had me convinced. Anyways, I think the correct victor won. They are so iconic, and yeah, I knew I was pretty sure this was how it was going to turn out, so I'm not super shocked. But yeah, this was amazing. I hope that I can do it again. Hint, hint. This is just super fun. It was great chatting with all of you. Most of the people in my circle are not as into SNL as I am, and my coworkers are so sick of hearing me talking about my podcasting adventures and my SNL obsession that they are very tolerant. So thank you all. This was a lot of fun. And yes, you can catch me at the SNL water cooler. We come on after the SNL Hall of Fame, which is where, of course, I originally met Thomas. And he had very big shoes to fill, as Bill will say himself. But Bill is doing a pretty great job.
Yep.
And Thomas has been on as a guest, in fact, just recently talking about Aerosmith.
Twice. Yeah.
Yes, but I really enjoyed the Aerosmith was one of my favorite episodes of this season. It was a good one.
Thank you.
So definitely check out the SNL Hall of Fame, and definitely check us out afterwards, the SNL water cooler, and go back if you haven't and listen to it's 7 seasons now. We're rounding out, but yeah, we've got a new episode we just did today. We just talked about the great Dennis Miller. So that's coming up Monday, and then we'll follow on Thursday or Friday. So you can catch me there. And of course you can catch me in the chats because I was up till 3 a.m. last night. And it's just so much fun. It's such a great community to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. You're a great addition to the community, Shari. Thank you so much. Mike Murray, where can the people find you? Wayne and Garth, was that a surprise?
Definitely not a surprise. I mean, it's a 1 seed taking it all. So that's how it goes, and deservedly so. Happy to cast that vote and see them be immortalized on this program as the best recurring character in SNL history. So happy to be on that side of history. Thomas, thank you for having me. This has been a great panel. Really enjoy talking to everybody here. You can find me on the Saturday Night Network on a show called SNL by the Numbers. It airs Wednesdays, 8 Eastern, following every live show. It's basically the sports talk radio of SNL. We cover that week in the stats. So I do screen time, appearances, do an algorithm to measure impact of every individual who appears on screen. So if you're interested in getting to the really, really deep minutia and details of it, it's for you. But also that show is an opportunity for us to take a really macro, like wide lens look at the show, because as I collect all these stats and go back in time, I just kind of do a lot of comparisons and talk about all eras of the show that we love. So please check us out. And, Roundtable Hot Take Show on that network, tons of programming, and people that are on this podcast right now. If you like them, then they've been on the show, and I love to have them all back. So great to be here, Thomas. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And Kirsten, lovely to see you. As always, I always love our SNL chats. It's so much fun. And spreadsheets. The spreadsheets that I have on my hard drive are like, I have an embarrassment of spreadsheets. So we're like lockstep. So I love it.
Yes. I mean, yeah, you're my people. And Shari, that's what I was going to say to you is, you talked about, not having friends that all share this passion of yours, but you found your people. So welcome. And it was lovely to, finally get to see your face, because I have seen you in the chats and appreciate all the support. You can find me. I've been lucky to be asked to talk on several of the podcasts that you've heard mentioned, and they're all fantastic. And I pinch myself all the time that I get to spend time with all of you and talk about my favorite shows. So thank you. Showing.
Thank you, Kirsten. Brad, a lot of cool stuff happening here at the Not Ready for Primetime Project. Chef's kiss, by the way, for that Rosie Schuster interview. That was awesome, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we are. So the early years, we're battling our way through season 4, about 3/4 of the way through. A couple weeks ago, Thomas, you mentioned we did a Deep Thoughts episode on Mr. Mike's Mondo video with Dennis Perrin, which was really cool. And probably the thing we're most proud of that we put out was, we sat down and had an interview for my SNL story with Rosie Schuster, and it was fantastic. She's amazing. She didn't hold back on anything, and it was just honest and open, and she had a lot of interesting things to say. So if you haven't heard it, please check it out. There's a lot of good stuff on that. And I think if everything times out, we should say Thomas and I were on By the Numbers last night. If this all schedules out where we think it is, we just were on By the Numbers.
So check it out.
Celebrating and or being disappointed by the John Hamm episode, I believe. Yes. Yes. Awesome. So a huge thank you to you all for listening. We really appreciate you all. Congratulations to Wayne and Garth, Mike Myers, and Dana Carvey for winning Best Recurring Character. Be on the lookout for all of the exciting things happening here at the Not Ready for Primetime Project, including another edition of Bill Swerski's Tournament Talk. For Kirsten Raiola, Mike Murray, Shari Fesco, and Brad Robinson, I'm Thomas Senna. So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Not Ready for Primetime Project. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, please take a moment to rate and review the project wherever you find us. You can also drop us a line to let us know what you liked or didn't, and what else you might like to hear in the future at nr4ptproject@gmail.com. And lastly, you can find us on social media everywhere at nr4ptproject. Thanks again for listening. Have a pleasant tomorrow.